this player might travel with the ball, which is absolutely fine. And if that happens, can the player who is providing that balance come in and mark? Secondly, can this player now come around and wrap that support around that player as well? Hi, my name is Loz Lok, National Coach Development Lead in the Grassroots Delivery Team. Welcome to your 6-week session plans around marking and intercepting. This is week 4 of your 6-week session program. Okay, the first practice we're going to look at is a game called table football. How the game works is a 15 by 10 area. We're going to split that into 2. So whatever space you've got, try and have 15 by 10. The aim of the game is for the team in possession to try and get the ball into the end zone. When they get it into the end zone, it then transfers to the other team and their job is to get it into the end zone. That's how the game will work. As the game's going on, a couple of things to consider. Now we're looking at marking and intercepting, so the team out of possession. So for this bit, we're going to look at the team out of possession. As the ball's travelling across, think about how this player can either do 2 jobs. One, to get really tight, thinking about observing and scanning of where the ball travels. Can this player come in and get tight? The second player is either going to do 2 things: provide support here, but also be in a position to see where this player is as well. And that's really important around working together as a team. As that ball travels across, so this player might have moved now, this player now has got 2 things to either do. Either try and intercept and win the ball, okay, that's the first one, or if the ball is successful and gets over there, can this player now be in a position to mark in a 1v1. This player then will either drop back in here, okay, or be in a position to observe and see where this player is and see where this player might move into. Now, as the ball travels across, success would be if this player now intercepts the ball and then play the ball into this end zone and there'll be a transfer of possession over. Other things to consider is often we may ask the players to either mark tight as the ball goes across or be in a position to mark the space so the ball can't get played directly into there. So it's really important as a coach, you're asking the player to mark space as well as the player in possession as well. Adaptations for this, a couple of adaptations that I like to use, especially when working with my grassroots team. I might make the area bigger, okay, just to provide more areas for the defenders to mark. However, if some of your players are struggling with the activity, don't be afraid to make it smaller as well. So that's really important. We want the players to have success, but also we want to challenge some of those players that are finding it too easy as well. The part practice for this session will be around a game called Intercept to Score. How the game works is, again, with your players, I'm going to show it on one pitch, but if you're coaching your session based on how many you've got, have pitches around the area that you've got. So how it works is you're going to split your groups into teams of 4, and the aim of the game is for the 2 players in here that are identified in blue to try and intercept the ball. The aim of the yellow team is to try and just keep the ball moving across the spaces, so they're going to be actively moving across. Now, 2 things for these players to do. Try and block the ball from going in, but also consider how they work together to stop the ball from going to that side. If the yellows are looking to play that ball and one of the blue players wins it and intercepts the ball, they can then travel into the end zone here. So that's how the game would work. Now, as that player is traveling, because they've done a really good interception through scanning and intercepting, this now becomes a 1v1. Can they try and beat the player and counter-attack into the end zone? If that happens, then the 2 players will go into there and the game will restart again. So then they will then try and transfer the ball across and look at how they can work together to keep the ball. When I do this with my kids, I sometimes say to them, if you can get to 10 passes, you get a point. The intercepting team, if they can intercept it and keep it, they get a point. However, if they can transfer into the end zone, because that's what we want the kids to do, is to counter-attack quickly, they get 2 points. Adaptations, again, just like we did earlier on, make it bigger, make it smaller based on the ability of your players. What you could also do, if you've got an extra player, you could have 3 players in there. Again, by utilising step principle, by modifying the players, you might then make it easier for the defenders to win the ball. What you could also do, if you've got multiple pitches on, you could have a 2v1. If you've got a player that's finding it quite easy, can they work on their own at times to try and intercept that ball? In terms of how long you would do this session for, think about the players that you've got. Maybe in an hour session, you'll do it for about 10 minutes, but making sure that you rotate your players, allow them to play with different people, swap the defenders, make sure they go and work with other players in your team as well. So as we get towards the end of the session, we want to get the players into a small-sided game. So the game that links back to the start is a game called Defending the Thirds. How it works is the area that you've got split into thirds and the players are locked in their zones. And the aim of the game is for the team in possession, just like we did earlier, to try and get the ball transferred into another zone. As that happens, they will then try and get it into this one where they've got an opportunity to score a goal. Now, looking at areas to coach and things to coach, which links back to the start, exactly the same, and it's no different to what we did in the activities that we've done earlier. So, if the team in the blue play the ball into there, this player here is looking at how they can get really tight to mark 1v1. Now, if the ball gets played across here, which travels into the opposite zone, is can one of the players out of possession try and intercept that ball? So even though the ball is in this side here, we're still looking at the players who are out of possession to provide cover, which links to one of the areas that we looked at earlier, or to provide balance and to get tight on this player. Naturally, if the ball gets played across here, again, can this player out of possession come and get tight, or try and get onto a loose ball to try and intercept? Now, a couple of things. As we're going into this game, this player might travel with the ball, which is absolutely fine. And if that happens, can the player who is providing that balance come in and mark? Secondly, can this player now come around and wrap that support around that player as well? Some adaptations for this game. What you could do is the team out of possession, what you could encourage the players to do is giving them a chance to drop in to make a 3v2 overload. Okay, that allows an opportunity to mark space. So if it's out here, naturally this player might drop into this zone. So sometimes you might lock the players in, but there'll be times where you allow them to transfer into different zones. The other one is that naturally, again in a game, if the ball gets played in there, this player now can come in here to create a 2v2. And naturally, again, it's giving this player something to consider because they will have to then either mark the space, which is here, or be in a position to scan to understand where this player is coming from to then be able to come in and mark there. Other adaptations are that at times you might not have 12 players. So again, this game I've done previously with 8 players that I have every week. The game will be exactly the same. I would make the goal smaller, okay, and I would have 1v1s in different areas. So they still need to transfer a ball across. So again, as that ball goes in there, it's a 1v1. Naturally, the player that plays in there, and again, having that same rule where players can now go into different zones to go and try and win the ball and intercept the ball. It's really important that we link what we do in training into your match day. So during the match day, there might be a series of challenges that I might give my players. So it could be the first one, linking to what we've done around intercepting and marking. Can you encourage your players to try and be in position to intercept the ball? So around their body position, their scanning and their observation of where the ball's coming from. So that'll be the first one. As a team, can they get in position to mark space, but also marking the players at the same time?